you made an excellent point. You said that a lot of times on social media that the word anxiety is just tossed around. And that is very different than when I was a kid. We didn't talk about anxiety. It was taboo, you know, and today is more acceptable. And there is a ton of research that, people between, 18 and 30 are much more open to talking to a counselor or talking about anxiety. Whereas, when I was growing up, there was a lot of shame with that. We wouldn't talk about that. We wouldn't admit, like, oh, I have anxiety. Um, that's like, what, are you crazy? Talk to somebody? Why would you talk to somebody? And so that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that's happening today, is that there's more openness, there's more awareness of the connection between our mind and our body. And just because it's happening in our mind doesn't mean it's any less important than our body. We would go, if we, hurt our arm, we would go to the doctor lickety split. But a lot of times if people are suffering with anxiety, they don't, because of that stigma, because of how we were growing up and socialized. And so I just love that this generation of coming into adulthood is way more open to that. That they're more willing to say, hey, I want to go and talk to somebody. I've been worrying a lot. I've been having nightmares. I've been staying up. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay in my room. Those are symptoms that things aren't okay. And it's a huge difference than, and a huge ability to accept ourselves, that's happening today.
Talking about social media, do you see social media playing a role in increased levels of anxiety?
Yes.
So it's not just more prevalent, treatment-wise.
Right. No, social media, there's the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so true with social media. People put on social media, their best moments, their highlight reel, and you don't see, the 23 hours of pain, suffering, hell, whatever, And so then we go on and look at that, and they're like, oh my goodness, everybody's having fun. They got together. Why wasn't I invited? And especially kids growing up, adolescents, when they see that, that can really take a toll on their sense of self, their self-esteem, their anxiety, depression. And so I think you have to be really careful, how much time, kids are allowed on social media, and that there's kind of a mentoring component to it, that you want them to have the experience because that's just part of life. In my day, when I socialized in high school, we went to the mall and we're like, ooh, I saw so-and-so. Did you see so-and-so? You looked at me. Ah! Today, kids are going on, they're going on social media and they're getting in these chat rooms and they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting for somebody to show up. And are they going to talk to me? So that's a reality of today. So we can't just pretend that doesn't exist. So to be able to kind of mentor kids, like to take a little bit of that and kind of be with them and help them navigate that, so that when they're 18, they're going to have some knowledge and some ability to prepare. Now, there's some kids that shouldn't ever be on social media because they are, they will just worry way too much and it will become consuming. And those are the kids, with severe anxiety disorders. So it's always, child by child. And so there's not one absolute rule for every person or every child. But there's so much different today than back when a lot of us who are providing the therapy, were kids. Divorce is very prevalent in society today. About half of all marriages end in divorce. And unfortunately, kids are the collateral damage sometimes. Some parents do an excellent job of understanding where their kids are and what they need and being able to kind of separate civilly without a lot of acrimony, animosity. So the thing that I often, want is for parents to be able to really look at how is this impacting the child? What does the child need? And the child needs to know that each parent is okay. That each parent is a good person, and that the other parent, even if they're not in love with each other anymore, that they can honor that part of that parent that they married, that they loved, that they had this child with. Because kids, they take that in. If you don't love dad, then you don't love half of me, and I'm not good enough. And so maybe I can't show you this part of me because that's kind of like dad, or that's like mom. And so for, in therapy with kids, it's often, really helpful for kids to have this space that's just for them. Even if the parents think they're doing a fabulous job, and most parents are doing a fabulous job, but kids still want to protect their parents, and they may not say something to mom or to dad because they don't want to make them sad, or they don't want them to feel guilty, and they want to make them think that they can handle anything. And so therapy, I think, is just a really nice gift for a special space where a kid can just be themselves, say whatever they want about what's going on, and again, without judgment, without feeling like, well, this person can't handle it, So to be able to come in and just say, I'm kind of mad at mom because blah, 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 and that I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And that, there was no, big brouhaha, it didn't last, the conversation didn't last for a month, just be able to get things off their chest. Even if, the divorce happened under the worst circumstances, there's usually some, there's grief and loss for every part of the family. And it's just so nice for the child to have an opportunity to kind of work through it at their pace, kind of to feel heard and understood. And I like to use books a lot in therapy, and I've got a bunch of books that kind of help kids kind of understand kind of changes. And a lot of times kids will make books because there's not one just like their situation. And so using art, play, music, all kinds of expressive arts is very helpful in treating kids.
Thanks for being with us today, Shelley. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. If you at home have anything you'd like to add, please feel free to comment below, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for joining us.